Teresa Palm. We are trying to create a community of bilingual professionals and bring a topic that might be of interest to you with the purpose of just starting a conversation and inviting you to participate. And if you have any questions regarding pronunciation or vocabulary or grammar, we can address all your questions. But more importantly, I think that the most relevant part of this Go Live with Teresa Palm is to have somebody to talk with. I'm your interlocutor. I'm the person that you can go to and you can start a conversation just to practice your speaking skills. We know that speaking skills are, there's two types. It's speaking production, that when you give a presentation, like me at this moment, I have nobody to talk to. But then we've got this spoken interaction in which what we do is communicate with others. So welcome everybody to Go Live with Teresa Palm. This is a very important part of my day because I get to share with you topics that I think are relevant for discussion. So I really expect you to be participating in a way that you can practice your English skills and also become informed, right? And express your opinion about the topic. So anything that you'd like to say, just raise your hand. At the end of this very brief talk, I will be chatting with you and just keep going. All right, so today's topic is 3 elements for creating a remote work culture. Now, this is kind of not as current because we're noticing that we have not only remote work culture, we also have a hybrid work culture. Now, this is very common in several companies that realized that, hey, after the pandemic, let's go back to, let's not go back to what we used to do. Let's kind of, have sometimes in the office, sometimes home office, but all of those things have implications, and I think that we can address them today. So why is the work culture so important? Because it basically affects how employees and your customers perceive the company. So the way they perceive how you work determines the success of your business, of your company, of your institution. So I think it's important to realize that times are changing, that we are not the same people we used to be, and that we need to create a work culture that has different characteristics than when we were co-located. I love the term co-located because co-located is we were all there in the same place. We had to go at 8 o'clock in the morning, check in, go to lunch again, then everybody comes back, and then you work the rest of the afternoon and say goodbye at the end of the day. So that was kind of like what was the norm. But now it has changed. We're not co-located. We're not all in the same place. We are all changing and having different work experiences, like I said, either hybrid or remote. And how is that working for you? How is that? How is your company, your team? How are you? How are you dealing with that? How has going remote been for you? Because today we're going to discuss those key elements to thrive in a remote culture, right? So if anybody would like to start the conversation at this point, you're free to do so and participate. If not, save your questions for the end, and we can definitely address any of your questions. But what I discovered, and this is not just one or two authors, I think it's a trending topic in all the different channels, that in order to thrive, to succeed, to have a very good work culture, we need to have a shared understanding, a shared identity, and psychological safety. Now, you might think, wow, what does this really mean? And I was doing my research with several authors that I will point out at the end of this brief talk. But let's talk about shared understanding first. So when you are in a remote work culture and everybody is in different parts, you're not co-located, you are at home, or maybe you just went, to the beach and work from there. How is it that you're going to be working? Well, first of all, who knows what? So you need to know, your people, your team members, and how are we going to work? How are we going to make requests for help? How are we going to ask for feedback? So let's have a shared understanding of how we are going to work. It was very easy before. If you had a question, all you had to do is just walk to the next desk and ask a question. Now, how is that going to work? How is that going to be the norm? And try to keep communicating with your team on and addressing the issues that arise, right? So another number 2 element of a very successful work culture is shared identity. Now, what is shared identity? It's feeling like a team. It's creating bonds among co-workers. It's reminding everybody of the team's specific mission and knowing why we are all working together and why we are all interdependent on each other. Now, many people have their mission statement and their vision, hanging on the walls in an office, but you go remote and you're like, well, it's just me and myself here, belonging to a team. So how can I feel like a team? How can I be part of the organization and relate to the other people that work with me? So that is something that we should be working on in order to have successful remote teams. And the third one, and this is, I think, really important, is also psychological safety. When I first heard the term psychological safety, I'm like, oh my God, what does that mean? Well, it's creating a level of trust and respect that allows team members to feel accepted. So can you express your ideas, your questions, your concerns freely? Or are you afraid of taking risks and being, let's say, bullied by your team members? So psychological safety is something that we have to consider too in our teams when we're creating these remote or hybrid teams or organizations. I've seen when sometimes you subscribe to an organization, it says how many workers are in your company, and it starts with 1. I mean, there are 1 member companies, and so I would just like to address these 3. Let me go back to the 3 that we've done today, which is in order to build a culture of remote work, we need to have a shared understanding, a shared identity, and psychological safety. Now, I don't know if you agree or not with this, but I found another quote, and I thought it would be interesting to just discuss it now. And it's a work culture that has built a shared understanding, a shared identity, and psychological safety among its team members and collaborators will transform employees into advocates, enrich well-being, and ensure that the company retains its top talent. So those of you who are in HR, you just check it out. Are you doing that in your organization? Just think about it. What is it that is going to help you create that work culture? And like I said, these ideas are really not mine. These ideas are by one of the world's leading business thinkers. And his name is David Burkus. Now you can check out his ideas and things, but I think that it would be interesting to share your ideas too. And if you have any comments or any questions, just feel free to continue this conversation offline. Remember, we're all remote, and I'm not going to be able to address all of your questions, but I would like, if anybody has a mic at this moment and would like to make a comment on today's topic, it would be fantastic, because I think it's a topic that all of us are involved in, and I just would like to know if you agree, you could disagree, and join the conversation. Sue, would you like to contribute to the conversation today?
Yes, thank you. I think this topic is very, very interesting. But well, I would like to say that sometimes we have difficulties with the internet.
Yes. There are technical, so what are, yes, so there are technical issues sometimes. That what happens to that? That's a very good question.
Well, if we have problems with the internet, we are not able to plug in the meeting. No? Also, another things that can affect this collaboration and communication between the team is the distractions that we can have in the office or at home. And also, let's say that the different sometimes or time zones that we have with the teammates. And but although all these things that can affect the communication, I think it's great to have this opportunity to
discuss.
Well, yes, that's right.
To discuss, just bring it to the table. I think that it's like, I don't know if you agree with this, but it's like any other topic that is controversial or that is affecting, that's not controversial necessarily, but it's part of our lives, but it's new. I think that it's important that we learn how to start a conversation regarding that. So, it was just so sudden. I mean, we did go through a hard time adapting to the new norm. And it was important that now, I mean, most of us are really used to using all of these tools, Zoom and all the media that we collaborating tools that we have. But really what we have forgotten, I mean, yes, you do get the job done. I'm sure that everybody's getting the job done, but there's also personal issues in which you really don't know, like that identity, no? So I've heard stories like people answering the phone in Walmart, you go shopping and here you are, or you're in the bathroom. And so it's just so crazy sometimes. And the people, especially the ones in HR out there, I think they've been quite challenged by this situation. I mean, but let's talk about it. Yeah. And you've, Sue, you've addressed 3 important things, and it's been number 1, a good internet connection. But I mean, on the other hand, I've also heard stories of like, oh, I don't have good internet connection. And the truth is that you have not done your work, and you're hiding behind your internet connection. And the other one, can you repeat the other 2? Because what was the other one? So one is an internet connection. You also said, what was the next one? I don't remember. Okay. But I mean, all the ones that you have addressed, see, I can't hear you anymore for some reason. See, that's speaking of which. Yeah.
Okay.
There you go.
Okay. Another point that I said was the distractions that we can have at home or at the office because the phone sounds or yes.
Yes. And there's no, and not only the phone, I mean, you even a dog barking or I mean, there's all kinds of things. So are you familiar with the word thrive?
No.
Thrive. Okay. In one of the slides, I was talking about the key elements to thrive in a remote culture. And like we said, let's bring this conversation to our team members. And like you said, one of them is distractions. So how are we going to deal with distractions? It's really hard. We're bombarded by social media, no? So it's like, how are we going to be very successful? And I'm thinking about, for example, in my case, of working like in shifts of 2 hours. I mean, that's how I'm solving my situation here. It's easy for me in terms of having a class because, I have a class that has a duration and I have to be very present. But when I'm doing administrative work or I'm creating my courses or I'm attending other situations that, have to do with the business, because it's not only, in front of the camera or in front of people. Like you said, I'm totally distracted and I'm not productive sometimes. And so that is something that we have to create our own working. So I'm doing chunks of 2 hours, for example. So I set, kind of like an alarm, let's say from 10 to 12 or to 12 to 2 or just a segment in which you forget about your phone, you forget about everything. And this is what I'm going to do. In fact, if you're up to it, everybody, I mean, another thing that we could do too, just, for this purpose of creating a community, we can all meet. That's, that just occurred to me right now. We can all just meet and say, guess what? See you at 12:30. We're all going to work from 12:30 to 1:30, get things done. And then we meet again at 1:30 and we say, how was it? How was your work? Did you get your work done? What was that? And that's another opportunity of speaking. So thanks for that idea, Sue. And once again, I really appreciate that you're here today. And I appreciate the people that are with us in live, but then the ones that are going to be later on checking this live, please feel free to participate with comments and to book and schedule a coaching session with me. That's the purpose of this, is to improve your English skills. And I think that topics like these help us start a conversation, but I mean, we can do all kinds of topics. So do you have any final comments before we finish this transmission? No, I cannot hear you. Your audio again.
Well, so I'm really sorry, but I didn't understood very well the meaning of
the question. Well, I'm trying to wrap it up. And so this is supposed to be very relaxed and everybody can participate. But obviously we're just starting. And also I'm trying to deal with technology. And it's like, I'm just learning. And thank you for being patient. But the thing is that I would like to create a space where all of us meet at 12 p.m. And we discuss a topic. But also what just occurred to me, which is, I mean, speaking about creating a remote work culture and distractions that we were addressing, is that we could also, if everybody's up to it, we can have a day in which we set a day and we say, okay, let's all work together today. I mean, whatever you're doing, I know some of you are lawyers, some of you are engineers, whatever you're doing, even some of you might be driving, or because I work with people that drive a lot, they go out to the fields and they drive. So whatever you're doing, but you have to focus. So it's kind of interesting when you have an accountability buddy, you know, when you're like, okay, I've got 2 hours to do XYZ. So what is that? Whatever your work is. And then you come back in an hour and you say, guess what? This is what I did. And it's going to be maybe a good conversation topic. You know, what happened? Did the guy that, you know, El Gas, you know, did he come by? Or was a dog barking that was distracting? Or were you able to focus and thrive through that assigned time? So whatever it is, thank you for being here today. This is just a very short check-in. So we are sharing this conversation, but of course, if you want to keep going, just book me. I'll put my Calendly so you can book a session and just explore possibilities of how I can help you improve your English skills and even your professional skills. So thank you very much for being here today. And I hope to see you tomorrow in our Go Live with Teresa Palm every weekday at 12 p.m.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank you
you
very much. Bye-bye.
Bye for now.